really haven't been captured or put forward to the general public. And you know, we have, as an industry, we have a problem there in terms of getting that knowledge out. Conversely, on the health side, there is huge resistance. The only support, in my view, that we have is at Treasury level. There is huge resistance at health, Department of Health level, and then within the area health and the operatives. There's huge resistance there to those sorts of programs. And there are real challenges in operating under those contracts, whether it's the Orange Hospital contract or the North Shore contract. And there are some real challenges there.
Thanks, David. Roger, you've been advising governments on numerous social infrastructure projects. And on the basis of that, what do you believe are the most compelling factors that or compelling benefits the private sector can bring to the table?
I think we need at this point to have a bit of a paradigm shift. Everybody talks about the compelling benefits of PPPs being the ability to deliver projects on time and on budget and so on. And we all quote Mott MacDonald report and we quote the Allens report, and those are all really useful. But I think the real benefit that public sector or private sector involvement in public delivery of services is really the ability to deliver services better. And if we look at the examples of schools and hospitals, the real benefit of a PPP is that it's not about the pretty building, it's not about that lovely design. Everybody concentrates on the design because that's the easy thing. It looks nice on overheads and pictures and pamphlets. The real benefit that we need to be concentrating on is the ability to free up those core public deliverers of services like head teachers or hospital directors to get on and deliver their core business. They don't have to worry about maintaining their building. They don't have to worry about the next light bulb that goes off. They don't have to worry about replacing bits and pieces of their building, and they don't have to worry about broken windows. So I think it's time that we as an industry started focusing on the long-term benefits and the benefits to the users of services rather than the pretty pictures that we see so often around projects once they're signed and once everybody starts looking at the services being delivered.
Well, thanks, Roger. With those few introductory remarks, let me open the discussion to the floor. Questions, comments, and if you could just state your name and affiliation in introducing your comment or question. We have some microphones, some roving microphones, so if you could just signal for a microphone.
Jim McDonald, WDS Limited. Is it too early for us to attempt to commission a report that quantifies the benefits that we've seen so far and attempts to extrapolate that to the future? It seems to me for the speaker at lunch and the British report seem to be central to, I think, to his thesis that we're now able to demonstrate the benefits. And I'm not sure that we've attempted to do that.
Well, I could probably take that question and say the IPA has exactly that process in train now. The IPA reported on the effectiveness of PPPs for on time and on cost delivery a year or so ago, and a sister analysis is underway at the moment that will look at some of the overseas experience, look at some of the Australian experience. It's a little bit more difficult in the provision of services because there's a number of speakers, Gary Sturgis at lunch and some others this morning have said the quantification's a bit more difficult. There are some qualitative aspects as well, but IPA through the Social Infrastructure and Public Services Committee under Roger's leadership has got exactly that analysis coming down the pipeline, because it is an important issue. So later in the year you can be looking forward to seeing that kind of analysis.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt there's an education process needed, and there's good quality information required. because these projects are so long in the pipeline and then into delivery and then even to try and assess their services. The real models that we've got sort of come out of the UK, and whilst there's some good benchmarking that can be done and some infant projects in Australia, I mean the education process also needs to be with government, and there I think there's the need for some leadership as well, that they need to be perhaps actively understanding what the interests, what the opportunities might need to be, and to explore the models as much as industry having to sort of continue to put up what the benefits are.
If I could just add to that, I think absolutely we always need to measure and check and use evidence-based reports to back our argument and our case, and I think credit to the IPA, the level of debate about this whole issue over the last 5 or 6 years has just reached a much greater level, and they're doing a good job in terms of articulating that, but it is, you need to go back to the world to get that kind of updated research and market data on the benefits and keep selling that to, I think, mostly to government, and then don't forget the community, but I just don't think the community is essential to convince before you start.
Adrian.
Just over here.
David Campbell from Serco. I may be preaching to the converted here, but I'll go ahead anyhow. I've recently had the opportunity to join the John Key government in New Zealand in a government dialogue, and I guess there are two impressions from that government. Firstly, they're reformist, they're coming in and they know they need to change things, they need to do something different. The second is they're not ideologically bound. They are prepared to consider any models. What works seemed to be the mantra that they were putting forward. And certainly while they were aware of PPPs, they weren't wedded to that. That's just another tool. I was interested, Brian, in your slide there, which showed the demograph, which showed the aged perhaps being more reluctant to adopt a change, and the younger generations being more amenable and a bit more familiar with the concept of user pays, if that's the right way of describing it. I guess the question is, if it's not a revolution and it's an evolution, how does the panel see this evolving to deliver the next generation services, that is both an infrastructure and services? I suspect the 55-year-old who was on the left side of that slide would sit in the waiting room of the A&E for 5 hours and not complain. I suspect the 25-year-old will complain after 15 minutes. So how do you see this evolving to deliver that new level of service, public service, from the infrastructure of the future?
Brian from
Models people. I think in terms of the older demographic, they will, again, if they see that and see examples and are provided with opportunities where the service has matched their expectation, you will get them across the line. But at face value, they just have a problem with the concept. I don't think that the nature of the model will really change that. That's just something that we need to deal with. And in terms of models, whatever model that works, I wholeheartedly agree with that approach, because in the social services space, the models are far more simple than in the broader PPP model. You know, we should take pride in this. In New South Wales, I suppose, as Gary pointed out at the lunch, that in terms of the motorway model, we were probably one of the pioneers and have been able to export that successfully. And the research that we had just undertaken shows that that's where the greatest level of support was. So by all means, yeah, absolutely, whatever model that works. I'm not the model expert, but there is those, you know, forever evolving those sorts of ideas about something that can work for the benefit of the community.
I think it all comes around the thing.